What is going on, guys? This is DropThisBox, and I hope all of you guys out there are having a fantastic day today. And today I want to talk about the Penguins of Madagascar, because the Penguins of Madagascar was another cartoon that I used to watch all the time as a kid. I mean, back then I spent so much time on Nickelodeon because there was just so many cartoons that I used to watch on that channel. And Penguins of Madagascar was always a cartoon that made me laugh every single time just because of everything that was going on in that series. Like, there's just so many memes that come out of that series that I still see to this day. Like, whenever I'm searching YouTube and people are like posting clips or reactions to whatever funny thing someone's saying in a video, and then you see a clip from this show. So I definitely did have a lot of fun when it came to the Penguins of Madagascar. So it's going to be super fun to just discuss my overall thoughts when it comes to this show. So I don't want to waste any more time. I really want to dive into this and talk about my thoughts on the Penguins of Madagascar. So probably one of the things I do want to talk about first is I like how different each penguin was, because when you had Skipper, who was the leader of the group, he was always hilarious to me. With what I mean by that is that he took everything so seriously, even if it was just about sneaking fish or dealing with a random zoo problem. It cracked me up with how he acted like every little thing was a life or death situation. And then Kowalski, he was the group's genius, and I always found it funny how he would come up with these overly complicated plans or gadgets that didn't always work, because he was the type of character who wanted to seem smarter than he probably was, and that made him so relatable. And Rico, on the other hand, was just pure chaos. The way he could cough up random items like explosives or even a plunger never failed to make me laugh. He's just one of those characters where you never know what he'll do next. And then there's Private. Private was like that sweet, innocent little brother of the group, and I always thought his kind-hearted nature balanced out all of the craziness from the others. He was the one who reminded me that even in the middle of all of their wild missions, there was still some heart in the team. What made their dynamic so fun for me was how they worked together. Each penguin brought something unique to the table, and it was their interactions that kept me hooked. And I think that's why I could watch episode after episode without ever getting bored, because they always found a way to make their personality shine. And the missions that these penguins went on were honestly just the best, because they treated every little thing like it was some huge world-saving operation. I mean, they could be rescuing a stolen peanut butter vending machine or trying to stop King Julien from messing up the zoo, but they would act like it was a high-stakes spy mission, and that seriousness they brought to the most ridiculous situations was what made it so funny. And I loved how over the top the show could get, because you would see Skipper barking out orders like he was leading some covert operation, and Kowalski would be there with one of his crazy inventions that always seemed to backfire. Rico would just start throwing explosives or pulling out the most random items, and somehow it would all come together. Well, mostly. Their missions never went as planned, but that was part of the fun. The unpredictability was another thing that kept me watching. Just when I thought I knew where an episode was going, something completely wild would happen. Like, they'd be sneaking through the zoo and suddenly they had to deal with an alien or some bizarre situation. It was that kind of craziness that made the show feel so unique. And by the end of each episode, they usually succeeded, kind of, for the most part. But it wasn't really about the result. For me, the fun was in watching how they got there. The way they fumble through their plans while keeping that serious spy vibe was always hilarious. And I can't talk about this show without mentioning the Lemurs, King Julien, which was a scene stealer every time he showed up. He was so full of himself, always thinking he was the most important person or lemur in the zoo, and his obsession of being adored with his over-the-top personality made me laugh so much. And then Maurice was the total opposite of Julien. I loved that dynamic. Maurice was the calm, practical one, but you could tell he was tired of Julien's antics. I found it so funny how Maurice just went along with everything even though he knew it was a bad idea. Then there was more, with his weird obsession with Julien's feet. What made the Lemurs even better was how they interacted with the penguins. Julien and Skipper's flashing personalities were comedy gold. Julien would always try to take over or make things all about himself, and Skipper wasn't having any of it. Back and forth between them made for some of the funniest moments in the show. Even though the lemurs were kind of a problem for the penguins most of the time, they brought this extra layer of chaos that made everything more entertaining. They added another dynamic to the show that I think made it even better. What I'll always remember about the Penguins of Madagascar is how funny it is. The show had this perfect mix of slapstick, clever jokes, and just outright ridiculous moments. I'd found myself laughing at the physical comedy 1 minute, then cracking up at a joke that I didn't see coming next. What I really appreciated was how the humor worked on different levels, because as a kid, I laughed at the silly stuff like Rico blowing something up or Mort just being weird. Watching it again later, I realized there were a lot of clever lines and subtle jokes that went over my head the first time. It's the kind of humor that gets better the more you watch it. And I also loved how the show never took itself too seriously. The situations were so absurd, but the characters always acted like everything was totally normal. That balance of ridiculousness and sincerity is what made it so fun for me. It's like the show knew exactly how to keep you laughing without ever feeling repetitive. Even now, when I think about some of the moments from the show, I can't help but smile. Whether it was the penguins' antics, the lemurs' chaos, or just a random one-liner, the humor always left an impression on me. It's one of those shows that you can't help but have fun with no matter how old you are. So I don't really think there's much left when it comes to the Nickelodeon side of things, like when it comes to the shows that I watched as a kid from the Nickelodeon side again, because I feel like I went through a good majority of the shows that I watched as a kid. Like, I definitely feel like I covered all of the shows when it comes to the Nickelodeon side of things. Maybe there's a couple other shows here that I have to look into to see if there's something that I missed, but I did have fun talking about a lot of these shows that I watched on Nickelodeon, especially when it came to all my thoughts on the Penguins of Madagascar. So this was a super fun video to do, and I always love doing videos like this. You guys can hear my experience with a certain show that I grew up with, and then of course I can relate to you guys in the comments. Speaking of, be sure to let me know how you guys feel about the Penguins of Madagascar down below. Do you guys have a favorite character? Do you guys have a favorite episode? Did you guys find out about the Penguins of Madagascar because you watched the first Madagascar movie? Whatever you guys want to say, be sure to let me know down below, because I would absolutely love to hear it. And if you guys want to follow me on my social media, be sure to check out my X, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. The link to those are located in the description below. And also be sure to click on the bell down below so you guys are notified whenever I upload a video on the channel. Other than that, I hope all of you guys are having a fantastic day, wherever the day may be, if it's the daytime, the nighttime, or the evening. And I'll see you guys in the next video. As always, peace out.